Hello, hello, hello. You are once again, can you believe it? Up front with Frank Rothstein on Sky's Crescent Radio. That's SKYES, crescentradio.com. And yes, I feel the need to spell that word out because it is confusing if you don't already know. And you can find us, well, it depends on how you're listening to us now, of the many places that we go. But home base is really skyscrescentradio.com, where you can find out all the goings on of the station and all the people that broadcast on here. You can find out what's going on in Mia's world. You could see what poets are being televised. You could see everybody. If Robbie Russell's out there with his show, you can find a lot of people out there and find out what's going on with Jade, who, by the way, of course, is sitting with me, telling me about her new passion for jigsaw puzzles, which puts a new, because I'm quite bored sitting at home, when there's nothing going on. So I am now going to have to find the world's most difficult jigsaw puzzle, which to me should be a solid color, because there's no pattern to it. Like if I get well, for instance, a rainbow, you see the colors. So if you see a piece with the color in it, you sort of know where it goes. It's just a matter of time. Oh, no, no, no. Something, one big block. And then that's what I'm thinking. Um, Everybody, how are you doing out there this week? Is there anything good going on? I mean, I know there's plenty of going on in the news, but I don't care. This week I went for more of the mild stories, things I can laugh at, things I can talk about. Maybe I'll just defend somebody on some nonsense. I like doing that. You know, I want to be canceled. Yeah, man. I want to be canceled by somebody. I want somebody. What did he say? I'll think of something to say. I'll have to think of something. Notice, by the way, that I did cut my hair a little bit because last week, like an idiot, I was sitting here. My hair was a little longer, and it kept hitting me like that one strand you can't see, but you know it's there. And if you noticed on my last video, I'm sitting there doing this all show long. Jade's not concerned that I'm having a seizure, but I'm sitting here like an idiot, smack in my face. So anyway, I took a little bit of a trim. I went to anonymous hair cutting on Sullivan Street. Irina cut my hair. She's been cutting my hair for about almost 25 years. Yeah, 25 years, 22 years, somewhere about there, that range. And yes, I look somewhat human. I didn't shave today. I'm sorry. I should have shaved, but I was lazy. Today I'm going to look, I'll pretend that I'm rugged. But if you notice, I mean, I know I have some gray in my hair. I know I have plenty of gray in my hair. But damn, I'm not quite sure because it's not all that big a distance away why my beard comes in like white and my hair isn't that kind of white. So, I go into social media apps and I'm just talking to people I know, and there's always some kid, some 22-year-old rude ass kid needs my foot up their ass and sitting there saying, "How old are you?" I'm old enough not to ask you how old you are, things like that. But I like it when they start getting a little bit hostile because I have a lot more to say than they do, and I could simply have fun with all the trolling people I know. Like when you hear like a heckler in the show somewhere, you don't do a heckling thing with a comedian. That's all they do is they're prepared for you. You're part of their show. And so when I'm on social media or well, we don't do too much by way of phone calls anymore, but if someone calls in, I am fully prepared. It's just the way it goes. So, how is everybody's week? Please send us a little answer to that question at upfrontfrank@gmail.com. Upfrontfrank@gmail.com. I really do want to hear from you and hear what's going on with you. If you have any questions, if you like what we're talking about. And as always, if you ever think of doing this on your own, write into the station, skyscrescentradio@gmail.com. And that could be good. That can always be good. You out here taking a time slot, I get to listen to you. Then I can call in and heckle you a little bit and write you comments and all kinds of things like that. What is going on in the world this week? Oh, yeah, I got some dumbasses out there today. Someone did this, I don't know when ago, And I got to talk about this. And the headline, remember, I get a lot of my stories from the New York Post. Why? Because they pick up a lot of other feeds from a lot of other news services, and and it prints out well on my house printer. But I do go to the New York Post. I've always have, and I sort of like the fonts better than the Daily News. Just my personal preference. But in the Marines, the researchers, marine researchers in the Pacific, say they have unearthed, that's how deep it was, unearthed an underwater dump of as many as 25,000 barrels, an estimated 350 to 700 tons of toxic DDT in what they believe to be the long-forgotten waste site that dates back to World War II. Yeehaw! Scientists at the University of California, San Diego Scripps Institution of Oceanography. That's a lot to say. I wouldn't want to put that on my sweatshirt. Use underwater Roombas. Okay. Underwater Roombas, drones with sonar technology to trawl more than 36,000 acres of seabed between Catalina Island and the waters off of the coast of Los Angeles, which doesn't sound as impressive as Catalina Island, a region previously known to contain high levels of DDT in the ecosystem, whichever you prefer. Images snapped during their search shows 27,345 barrel-like objects containing insecticide. And that is according to the Associated Press, who originally let the story out. Just 3,000 feet below the surface. Just 3,000. That's pretty deep, 3,000 feet. Wow. Shipping logs dating back through the century show that Southern California's industry had used the area of seafloor as a dumping site until 1972, when the so-called Ocean Dumping Act went into effect. I didn't even know there was an Ocean Dumping Act, but I do now, and now I know why. So, like, pretty much the Pacific Ocean is filled with raid, with something smaller. Raid! Well, anyway, that's what's going on out there. I mean, I don't know who thinks of this stuff, but yeah, okay. All right. Not at the part of the ocean where nobody goes, because there are parts of the ocean where very few people go. No, let's put it off of LA Beach. Let's put it right there. I mean, people do go to Catalina Island and Los Angeles. So let's just dump it where it's populated. Yeehaw. Well, that is the story. I don't need to really read into it any further. It doesn't go much further than that, but that is what they found. Wow, and there's actually fish out there. That's impressive. There's actually fish left to catch. Please. By the way, this week's stories will be in no particular order of importance. I find that a lot of times I forget to bring one up, and I don't want to do that. So at least not this week. So this week I used my personal Facebook page as like a filing cabinet, of everything on, like an inbox. So I just took everything from the earliest point of time, which is actually after I get off of here. Tonight I'll watch the news, or as I'm eating dinner, I'll search around, and there'll be all kinds of good stories. Here's one. This is why this guy is not all that liked. There's a video of the NRA, National Rifle Association, Chief Wayne LaPierre shooting an elephant draws criticism. And well, footage is from 2013 on a hunting trip in Botswana for an NRA-sponsored television series, but it never aired. But there he is. It's Wayne. Now, if he's hunting, whatever, but Wayne is a sensitive subject, and he really shouldn't go hunting. At least I don't think so. But anyway, that is the picture. Him holding a very nice looking basic rifle with a big scope on it, lining up his shot. Hopefully he missed. Well, yeah, what did it say here? The awkward display in which he shoots at the elephant 3 times at close range with a rifle while it is still alive after wounding it with the initial shot. Yeah, okay, so he really needed 3 shots to shoot a big object. That's why he's Wayne LaPierre. Oh my. Okay, what else is going on? There's a lot going on. I have nothing really of any depth. I mean, there's some subjects I've spoken about before. I'll talk about them again because I do have some favorite topics which you will hear me cover on occasion. This one is relatively new, came up last week, that there might be a gas shortage come this summer. And yeah, gas stations running out of gas. I got this off of CNN. I got this on the 27th last week. Millions of people stuck at home for more than a year are expected to hit the road for much needed post pandemic vacations this summer. Good luck finding gas. Now that there's a looming shortage of crude oil or gasoline, rather, it's the tanker. Oh, it's not that. Excuse me. I'm sorry. It's not that there's a shortage of crude oil or gasoline. Rather, it's the tanker truck drivers needed to deliver the gas to stations who are in short supply. According to National Tank Truckers Carriers, the industry's trade group, somewhere between 20 to 25% of tank truckers in the fleet are parked heading into the summers due to what? To a paucity of qualified drivers. They don't have the personnel. That's it. They don't have it. You know, people have been out of work for a year. Maybe they're doing something else. If they're older, maybe they retired. Maybe, hopefully, everyone's okay. But yeah, they've been dealing with a shortage of drivers for a while. And now there may not be enough people to drive the trucks. And I'm still rubbing my head. I don't know why. So if you need a job and you have a truck driver's license, see if you can get one over here. Someone's going to need you. See who needs a truck driver. But yeah, people are going to go make road trips. Not everybody wants to fly right away. So they may be gassing up the car, putting the kids in the back of the SUV, driving around, seeing America, visiting family, all that stuff. What else? Oh, here's a good one. This is one of my stupid stories. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? A man is arrested at the airport after 35 birds intended for singing contests found in his clothing. Can you believe that? 35 birds for chirping and singing. What did he do? Let's see what he did here. Again from CNN. A man was arrested and charged for allegedly smuggling 35 live finches in hair curlers from Guyana. You know, hair curlers women use for the hair. From Guyana for singing contests in New York City, according to a complaint from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York. Kevin Andre McKenzie, a 36-year-old Guyanese resident, flew to New York to JFK Airport last Monday, according to a complaint where Customs and Border Protection officers pulled him aside for an examination and found the birds. He was charged with unlawfully importing the finches. 30, and I'm looking at the picture. So picture putting, remember, you're dealing with hair curlers, right? You got to put little birds in them. He put like a lining in the back of his coat with little pouches wide enough to hold the birds. This is what's lining his coat. And that's where he put them, in the back. So if he sat down, he just couldn't lean back. But that's what he did. Actually, he probably could, because the plastic of the hair curler could support him if he's sitting in a chair. So this is what he did. Probably put them in his sleeves, in his pockets, everywhere. A jacket. Yeah, he was released on $25,000 bond. The investigation found that these types of birds are often entered into singing contests in Brooklyn and Queens neighborhoods. And I guess that's what he was trying. Wow. According to McKenzie, he told the officers that he had been offered $3,000 to smuggle the birds. He allegedly was paid $500 before the flight and was to receive the remaining $2,500 after. Well, I guess that part shot to hell. So I don't know what they did with the birds. I'm sure someone fed them and took care of them. You gotta love this stuff. I mean, really, you gotta love this stuff. At least I do. What else is going on in the world? I mean, these things just keep, some of these stories keep drudging up. Some people just cannot rest in peace. I've always said that. Late President Kennedy, Marilyn Monroe. Some people just can't. People keep bringing up their name, over and over and over. Matter of fact, matter of fact, I got this off of Microsoft News, MSN News, that there's a new hunt for Jimmy Hoffa. Jimmy Hoffa, if you don't know who that is, Google him. Hoffa. Jimmy Hoffa. He disappeared he was a former union leader with ties to one person or another. And he disappeared in 1975, end of July 1975. He organized the Teamsters. He helped create the Teamsters. And he was its president when things went bad and he disappeared. Well, once again, there's a tip, and they'll be looking for Jimmy Hoffa once again. This guy here, wherever he is, wherever he was, whatever they did with him, if at all, Jimmy doesn't get to rest. He doesn't get to enjoy a day. Everyone's always looking for Jimmy Hoffa. So if you have maybe a shovel, and you got a little vacant land in your backyard somewhere, look for Jimmy Hoffa. What else is going on? Look at this. Wow, it's 3:20. It's going fast today. Now, we all know about the homeless situation. Press always covers it. New York is one of the leaders of homeless. No major city gets spared. So on New York's Upper West Side, yes, we do broadcast out of New York. The Upper West Side, they're using the word vagrants, set up a tent in the middle of the Upper West Side, claiming people here love us. Okay, a couple of vagrants have pitched a tent smack in the middle of Broadway to claim a street divider as their own little piece of paradise. I got this a few days ago. And it seems that, yeah, there are a couple of homeless people living in the median of Broadway. And people pitched in and give them what they need. I got this from April 27th, so I don't know what's happened since. And someone bought them a tent. They have a tent, very good looking tent. Looks like a pretty good tent to go camping with. They give us money, food, and everything. And that's just what it is. Yes, that's just what it is. It's a tree. It's a tree line divider in the area of West 86th Street and Broadway. This is not a cheap item. They are living over the grating, which keeps them warm, in a tent. And it sounds like a nice story, but to me, this is not a good story. The Upper West Side is not cheap. People are paying rent to live there. And it's not that I'm against homeless. It's not that I'm anti this or anti help. I want to help as many people, help everybody if possible. But this is not a good idea, having the homeless live in the median in the middle of Broadway. It could be dangerous if there's an accident, but it sort of sends the message that this is all right. This is the way it's going to be. And I don't know that this is the way it should be. But okay, they gave us a tent. People want to bring them food, water. They got a little plant in front of this tent. Okay, a couple of plants, as a matter of fact. I'm sure there's always somewhere to go to a bathroom. Someone gives you money, go to Starbucks, buy a coffee, use the bathroom. I understand. I'm not quite sure where they're using a shower, where they're cleaning at. But a lot of people who are homeless with what little money they have sometimes get a gym membership. Why? Because you can use the shower in the gym if you're a member. Now, it may sound like a lot of money, which sometimes it is, but if it's a modestly priced gym, you're paying once, but you can use the shower all year if it's a yearly membership. But in this case, I don't know what they're doing, but this is a pretty decent sized tent, and they have it pitched, and they have, well, they can't put the stakes in the ground, but it looks like they're chained or tied to the metal grating. And there's two, sometimes three people staying in there. So yeah, this is a what seems like a nice story, may not be the best idea. But okay, we know what's going on Broadway. Um, oh, as I was talking about the singing birds, horrifying videos. Anybody ever see the Alfred Hitchcock movie, The Birds? This may be my least favorite of all Hitchcock movies. They're in this town, and these, yeah, I'm reading it. It's a bunch of birds take over the town. They keep little by little, more of them are flying in. And of course, like in a lot of movies, the only reason that this is a horror movie is because it centers on three people or a family, four people, is that the people stay. They don't leave right away. That's the nature of the movie. But this is in Australia. Of course, it's Australia. All my good, stupid stories and my crazies come out of Australia and Florida. And it says a sleepy Aussie suburb resembled the scene out of Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds after a massive flock of cockatoos descended upon the neighborhood on April 27th. A storyful video of the aerial invasion currently ruffling feathers online. Listen, I am not creating that. I'm reading that word for word. But it is a 45-second clip, and there are a lot of birds there. I'm not quite sure why they found this town, but while there's still some street to drive on, get the hell out. Yeah, parrots are taking over the town, it says. Cockatoos. Cockatoos are very smart, by the way. They could. I don't remember if you ever saw the TV show Beretta. That's from the 1970s. That's an old show. TV detective, TV cop. He had a pet bird, Fred, a cockatoo. That bird could talk. Cockatoos are great. They can talk up a storm, along with African greys. Well, anyway, that's what's going on. Yeehaw with that. Okay, let's see. Florida. Well, if I have Australia, I gotta have Florida. Okay, this is actually more of a serious story, not earth-shattering, but it's excuse me. It says Florida is the latest state to advance a measure that would ban transgender girls from competing in high school sports. The measure was passed by states Republicans, excuse me, last Wednesday night by Governor Ron DeSantis when he signed the bill. This is according to the Orlando Sentinel. The bill was reportedly passed mostly along party lines after the stalled measure was amended to include a charter school bill. All right, they had a compromise. Similar bills have been passed in recent months by Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, after Idaho approved the transgender sports ban last year. A federal judge issued a temporary injunction in the Gem State, which I guess is Idaho, after more than 24 of the state houses consider a copycat ban. Okay, well, now you know what the law is. I've covered this many, many times. We all know that. Transgender girls, male to female, at the high school level. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. First of all, it's not fair. It's not a fair competition. It doesn't mean that I don't think women can defeat men at any given time. It means that by and large, it is not fair. You have in high school, so it's boys competing against girls. This has been discussed many times. There are lawsuits on the books, especially in track, running track, where let's say there are scholarships up for the top 8 students in the school. You got 2 transgender girls leading. They win the first and second spot. The other 6 go to whichever female athletes are competing. Just by nature of it, it almost robs two girls from a scholarship. Um, it's in basketball where you can have they're 18 years old, they're grown adults, guys who are now 6'3", competing against girls who are 5'7", 5'8", 5'9" in basketball, but they're outweighing them by 40 pounds sometimes. And it's contact sports. It's dangerous. We're seeing this in, well, we're not seeing it as much these days, but this was a large story in mixed martial arts in the UFC when they had the then fighter Fallon Fox competing against the women and beating one so badly she had a fractured skull. Matter of fact, who weighed in on this subject of all people? Who weighed in? Caitlyn Jenner has made waves in the news lately, last few days, because in some little random 2-minute interview while walking from the restaurant to the car, some paparazzi asked, "What do you think about this?" And Caitlyn's response was, "If you're a biological boy, you shouldn't be in girls' sports." That's the headline. And I'll read it exactly how this goes. Caitlyn Jenner has a take on trans athletes you might not expect. Namely, if you're a biological boy, you shouldn't be allowed to compete in girls' sports, at least while you're still in school anyway. Um, we got the California gubernatorial hopeful because Caitlyn Jenner is looking to run for governor in Malibu. She weighed in on her big first political issue and takes center stage on her run for Gavin Newsom's job, telling TMZ that's where I got the story from, TMZ, that she doesn't support trans girls as boys participating in an all-female school sport. Now, I've already read, well, I hate using words like legendary or iconic, but if anyone knows who George Takei is, he played Mr. Sulu in Star Trek. He is gay, and he is quite an activist, quite vocal about the rights of anyone in the LGBTQ community, and disagrees with Caitlyn Jenner, claiming that she is not a friend of the trans community. Well, George, I understand why George Takei is saying that, and I'll leave that with George. I'm not going to criticize George, but if you don't know who Caitlyn Jenner really is outside of being a trans woman, you may want to Google, because in 1976, Caitlyn Jenner was Bruce Jenner, and he was the decathlon athlete champion, gold medalist at the 1976 Olympics. So when Caitlyn Jenner talks about athletics, whether you think you're talking to Caitlyn or Bruce, Jenner knows what's going on. This is not this is not an unfamiliar territory to this person. And it's something I've been saying for the longest time. It's not fair. It's unhealthy. I have we've seen this in sports before. Um, we saw, someone reminded me in the 1970s, Dr. Renee Richards, trans woman, had full surgery, woman, competed in female professional tennis, wasn't fair. Um, they did a little charity thing once, I think 1980s. Jimmy Connors, the former tennis champion Jimmy Connors, played against Martina Navratilova. Some sort of I think it was a charity event. And the rules were that Jimmy Connors only had one serve, second serve. So Jimmy could not afford to have the fault. He had to serve inside the lines. And Martina Navratilova had both serves. And I believe that she could hit it, a little white area where you're not supposed to serve outside the boxes. I think she could serve anywhere she wanted. But it didn't work, because once he got his racket on the ball during a volley, that was the end of it. Yeah, she won a few games, but no, she was not beating Jimmy Connors. Um, it doesn't, it generally doesn't work. Not saying that there isn't an instance where a woman cannot defeat a man. I'm not saying that at all. But it generally doesn't work. Now, tennis, well, it's not all that dangerous. You got people running back and forth by nature of the game. Um, but when you see, let's take, well, we already discussed track. Track and field, the javelin throw, the shot put. It looks like the cannonball, the shot put. Um, the broad jump, the broad jump. The mechanics of a male body, especially if they're at college level, or if you're that good and you get to the Olympics. If you're a transgender woman competing against other females, you have a severe advantage because as a male, you have different body mechanics. Male bodies are by nature trained to explode for power. It's testosterone and the mechanics. So even if you're taking medication, even if you're taking hormone shots, you still operate like a male. And it's not fair. That's all I'm trying to say. It's not fair. So if people want to sit there and criticize Caitlyn Jenner, good luck. But I'm pretty much sure that in whatever area of life, in this particular area, I would be talking to an expert who will pretty much say what I've been saying now for years in this show. It does not belong. Anyway, upfrontfrank@gmail.com. If you do not agree with me, feel free to tell me. What else is going on? Oh, here's what I would hate to see. There are rumors around town, I got this from Fox 32, that the Chicago Bears may leave their stadium for a new home. Wow. The Chicago Bears not playing at Soldier Field? Should be illegal. That really should. That should be illegal. But yeah, that might happen. Maybe looking for a new home, I guess upgraded field, new stadium, lower rent. But yeah, that's one story going around town. Wow. I hope not. Let's see. Oh, here's something for all you smokers out there. The FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, announces a plan to ban menthol cigarettes and flavored cigars. They're claiming it's a science-based approach to curbing addiction and will save hundreds of thousands of lives over time. I got this from the New York Times, by the way. If you're thinking I don't go to all the sites, I do look around. I do actually pay for a New York Times membership online. I don't know why, but I do. Yeah, this last Thursday they announced its long-awaited plan to ban the last flavor still allowed in cigarettes, menthol, and also said that it would ban all flavors of mass-produced cigars, which are popular among youths around the kids. All right, they want taste. Okay, the ban would apply only to sales, manufacturing, and imports, not personal possession. That means if you can figure out a way to find it, which now you'll turn it into a street drug. So score. Um, and I don't know how it works in other cities, but I'm looking at the picture on this article. I'm looking at this picture, and it pretty much says, I'm looking at a cigarette carton of Newport. And I have heard so many people say over time, I need a Newport. And I don't know why. To me, it just sounds ridiculous for a smoker to say that, but I don't smoke. So this will be one of the first to go. And I could see that being turned into another business where you can score your cigarettes on the corner along with a whatever flavored cigar. Because any way you can make money, it works. And that's the FDA's plan to ban that. Okay, they'll smoke something else. Oh, look at that. I have a little noise here. I hope you didn't hear that. I don't know if you can actually hear my computer when I'm talking out here because I never really. Let me see. I'm going to ask Jade. Jade, can they hear my computer go off on a video if I'm on? She's lip syncing to me, yes. So sorry that happened. I got Jade's thumb in the action over here. Okay, where else? What else? Oh, this story I sort of liked. I know I'm sort of off all over the place today. Um, Grammy organizers are changing the rules after allegations of corruption. You know, the Grammys just passed recently, and let me just read it. The organizers of the music's Grammy Awards on Friday announced an end to the so-called secret committees that have led to allegations of the highest honors in the industry are open to rigging. The Recording Academy said that nominations for the next Grammy Awards in January of 2022 will be selected by all of more than 11,000 voting members instead of by committees of 15 to 30 industry experts whose names were not revealed. The Academy was slammed last year when Canadian artist The Weeknd got 0 Grammy nominations after, even though his critically acclaimed album After Hours was one of the biggest sellers of 2020. The Weeknd, in a Twitter post, said the Grammys remain corrupt. You owe me, my fans, and the industry transparency. Well, I often wonder what the Grammys are doing. Personally, I never understand how some of the songs win. Now, again, I am not going to equate sales to quality of song. That's not what I want to do. Because, excuse me, that's iced coffee, by the way. Um, there have been a lot of songs along the way performed by musicians that uh, they had something because they were promoted and they sold and people bought it. But I'm often wondering what people are listening to. And but I understand the point of, yeah, I had one of the highest selling albums around, and no one's paying attention to it. No one gave The Weeknd the nod, not even a nomination. Now, we all know my favorite group is the Mavericks, who have often said about themselves being overlooked, that they're not a commercial band. They're not the top commercial band out there. So no, they don't get nominated as often as they should. And I remember years ago, the lead singer Raul Malo, after the band broke up, and the the first time they broke up, um, he released an album called Today. This is like 2004, maybe, and it was a phenomenal album. He has a brilliant voice. He's writes great music, and not even a nomination. And we've seen this so many times of why one song or another gets nominated in one category or another. And as of late, I remember watching the Grammys as a kid, and all areas of music were represented on television. You used to see rock. You saw This is before rap was really big, but even when it was first coming in, you saw reggae, you saw classical, blues, jazz, you saw a little of everything in a performance, and you saw some of the nominees winning. Now all the other categories are on some earlier show, and with the pandemic, they probably got the notification of a win by email. But in general, now it's an earlier show, and you just don't see these things anymore. So pretty much, you were seeing this year a lot of rap, a lot of the show was put together based on the pandemic. And I give them credit for that, the way they did it. But some of it wasn't all that great of music, and they got nominations and whatever else. And enough complaints came in that I guess that the Grammy nominating committee is now the Academy is now has to address the problem, because unfortunately, well, the Weeknd didn't get even get a nomination, and he had one of the biggest selling albums out there. But generally, you don't have to be the best to be recognized as the best. You just have to be popular, I guess. I guess. I'm not sure what the criteria is anymore. But best isn't always good enough, unfortunately. So anyway, keep up with the Grammys if you're into that stuff, and especially if you're a musician, and see what they're doing. What does it say? Former One Direction singer Zayn Malik called in March for an end to secret committees. Well, yeah, you want to know who's voting and you want to know why it's happening. But okay, that's just something I wanted to read about. I never, I don't trust anything with a committee with secret votes. You don't know why it's really happening, but it's happening. What else is going on in the world? Look at all. I may not even have time to cover all this stuff. There are some stories here I could trim away. This is an interesting story. A reporter got scammed. I got this from NBC New York, NBCNewYork.com actually. And a reporter received a phone call. And this is what happened. The reporter's name is Adam Harding, and his life began with a phone call. It was a terrifying day that his life began with a phone call from his mother's number. And he got the phone call that said mom. And it was some guy claiming that she was kidnapped and he wanted ransom. He wanted ransom. And they were talking about all kinds of details. He's giving enough details to keep this guy, who is now going into a panic. Don't call the police, don't do this. And he's there. Don't hurt my mom. I'll do anything you want. All my money. And he's already saying, I'll give you. He'll give up a leg right now just to keep his mom safe. And this guy got so worked over in a short span of time that after a while, he got another call on another phone from mom. And this guy, where he says my mom's, he told him not to answer it, and and Adam Harding believed it. Don't answer the phone. And he wound up sending all kinds of money out, and he got a little bit of it back, but after a while, and this was on the phone for a while, he sent 500 to all different accounts: Venmo, Cash App, one place or another. He sent out thousands to keep his mother safe, understandably. And this is called virtual kidnapping. And there are certain ways of keeping this, verifying, or just at least ask the right questions. First of all, you want me to pay ransom? I want to speak to my mother. Ask for details of the caller's whereabouts. Ask questions only the person they're claiming to hold hostage would know. So I already know that if I'm asking about my mother, I would be able to ask a question that only she could answer. I can do that with my brother also, because there are certain things we know about all our lives, certain areas that we could joke about, we've always joked about, that if I said one thing, I know exactly what his response is going to be. And if somebody can't answer that, then I know they're lying to me. And of course, call the person on another phone. Anyway, he wound up paying the ransom. And then he dialed back the other phone call. His mother says, "Hi, I was just calling to say hello. How are you?" And he was so happy and so relieved. And meantime, he realized he just got scammed. Anyway, once he settled down, he contacted the police, and they got back some, but I don't know if he's going to get back all. And that is what happened. So yes, always, always keep your head when possible. Don't panic. Always keep your head. And by the way, on my phone, it does not say mom when it calls. I'm not going to tell you what it does say, but when I have my relatives call, it is not by title. I use other things, and only I know what it means, and you should too. That's the way I see it. So yes, it was a scam, and he got taken for some money. Not the first person I ever heard of getting taken for money. Oh, here's a decent one. Here you go. If you wonder what the Queen does with her time, Queen Elizabeth rewards a sex toy company for outstanding growth. British sex toy company Love Honey is celebrating royal recognition. The Queen has honored the UK's biggest sexual wellness brand with a top award, the company boasted in their press release. Love Honey has received the Queen's Award for Enterprise for outstanding growth in overseas sales over the last 6 years. There you go. Sex toys pay. Develop, like anything else you're going to develop a good product, and maybe the Queen will recognize you. Go for the good for the Queen. I like the Queen. Always did. Seems like she's been 95 for the last 7 years, but okay. What else is going on in the world? Because it's just interesting in certain areas. Oh, here's one. I don't know if you remember the case of Scott Peterson. Scott Peterson is years ago put in jail, even on death row, for the murder of his then wife, Lacey Peterson. And I'm not going to go into the whole case, which I should, but you can just Google Scott Peterson and read the whole thing so I don't screw it up. But it seems now that his sister-in-law claims that she has uncovered evidence to exonerate him from the slaying. Now, all I'm going to tell you is that Scott Peterson was convicted for killing his then pregnant wife, Lacey Peterson. And this was in 2002. And I'm wondering, the sister-in-law, I'm wondering what evidence she has now that she couldn't present then, because I don't remember Lacey's sister saying no, he didn't do it. I remember the case, and I remember saying, I used to, well, my mom was, who was a former legal secretary, was always watching legal matters, always keeping track of the big cases. They're interesting on the news when you watch them on you watch the court cases. And we used to debate all the time. She's saying, yeah, he should go, he's convicted. I said, well, I know he did it, but I don't know he did it, because again, it's like playing the game of Clue. It's not like you can say Colonel Mustard did it in the library with the knife. I couldn't, when they convicted him, you couldn't put him at the moment when this woman was killed. But they had enough circumstantial evidence and enough. They had enough, and they convicted him. But I'm sort of wondering why this woman, 19 years later, is coming forward with evidence. And I'm wondering now, what was her relationship with Scott Peterson then? Because I don't remember, unless I'm missing it, I don't remember this woman loudly saying, you got the wrong guy. But anyway, that's what's going on now. He is on death row for 19 years. I'm not sure when he's scheduled. I know he has a new day in court coming up. They're looking to overturn whatever they're looking to overturn. But yeah, she's saying, well, her name is Janie Peterson. At least here it says she's saying that the officers didn't look into whether her killing was linked to the burglary that occurred across from their home. Okay. But it's 19 years later. So where's the evidence? It can't be that. But okay, that's what's going on. Punch up Scott Peterson in the news and you will read all about this. What can you do, right? This is the way it goes. I may take a couple of minutes overtime this week. I'm usually giving up a few minutes. Justin Bieber is being accused of cultural appropriation over his hair again. The Bieber is in trouble. He put his hair into short dreadlocks this week. causing cries of cultural appropriation and racial insensitivity. Uh, the outcry came 4 years after he was similarly criticized over wearing cornrows and, yes, dreadlocks. Um, Dreadlocks are traditionally connected with the culture and identities, excuse me, of Black people. Wearing them is viewed by some as cultural appropriation. Fair enough. Generally speaking, yes, as is what we call the afro. Everyone knows what an afro is. Generally speaking, okay. Um, Cultural appropriation. That term to me is sort of being a little overused. I mean, it's, I go back to music. People cover great music all the time. If musicians today want to cover the music of 1960s Motown and want to cover the music of the Temptations, the Four Tops, the Supremes, uh, all phenomenal music, is it cultural appropriation? If I, a kid from Brooklyn, New York, want to sing Beatles songs, am I trying to be British? If someone who generally has an afro, if generally someone who wears dreadlocks uh, decides to straighten their hair, like mine, straight, is it cultural appropriation? Are you trying to be white? Sounds ridiculous. It's just reversing the same question. It's just reversing the question. Wait, 1 second here. This thing of cultural appropriation to me is overused. You might as well tell me, being a Jewish kid from Brooklyn, that I am not allowed to eat in any restaurant outside of a generic diner or a kosher delicatessen. That if I actually want to go into a Spanish restaurant and have paella, I am culinary appropriation. I don't agree with it. I mean, I know if Justin Bieber wants to do his hair up any way he wants, I personally don't care what he does. In the end, when he wants to take it out, he'll either have to take the time to undo the dreadlocks, cut it very short, buzz his hair, shave his head, or however it is you undo the job. But that's what he's going to have to do. Okay, there you go. There you go. If it's your hair, do what you want to do with it. Who's really going to care? What if he really likes it? Now, I'm not a Justin Bieber fan. I'm not a big musical fan of this man. But okay, it's his hair. It's his hair. I don't, it's just generally whatever. Do what you got to do. Cultural appropriation. So what should he do? Never do anything different with his head? I'm from Brooklyn. I know. I see how I keep my hair. Should I put if I put a real mullet in there and shave the sides, am I now from down south? It's just, to me, it's ridiculous. To cry cultural appropriation over every last thing. So there you go. Unless you're now from England or one of its land possessions, no longer cover the Beatles' music, the Rolling Stones, or any other British group because it will be appropriation. I think it's his dumbest thing. That means I could never sing a reggae song. That means I'm looking at Jade. Jade is a musician. She has many guitars. If Jade wants to sing a reggae song, is she appropriating a culture, or is she covering music to the best of her ability and hopefully enjoying her work, and hopefully her fans think it's a good job? That is what I would hope for. And I don't care. And I have seen people do reggae. I remember, well, the late Toots Hibbert, Frederick Toots Hibbert, died of COVID last year, and he did his music. His career was sort of, in a bit of a slow time. So he did a duet album called True Love. Brilliant album. I do not know how the Grammys didn't recognize this, but he has a great song called Pressure Drop. And he had wanted on the album Eric Clapton, rock star Eric Clapton, considered to be one of the best guitarists in the world, and for good reason, to be on the album. And Eric Clapton said he would only do it if he could be on the song Pressure Drop. He loved the music. Eric Clapton, a British white guy from England, playing on a reggae song. Is that allowed? Or is he now just a higher? Is that okay because Toots Hibbert is singing? But he's on a reggae song. He's playing lead guitar and does a great job. Not the whole song, he's just in his part. But okay, he's there. No one saw a problem with it. As of late, everybody has a problem if you are somewhere, sort of like, you know the phrase stay in your lane? Well, sometimes it's good to get out of your lane. It really is. Sometimes it's good. So, that's just, you might as well be upset when you watch baseball and you see a home run hitter lay down a bunt. If the baseball player is successful, if he's successful and gets a bunt and gets on first base, is he successful, or did he offend and let his fans down because he didn't go to hit a home run and most probably fly out to center field? Enough with this appropriation crap, please. It is ridiculous, especially in this case. Let Justin Bieber wear his hair anywhere he wants, any way he wants. When it comes time to undo it, he'll deal with it accordingly, depending on what shape his head is in. And if he has to shave it clean, no, he will not be a white supremacist. He'll just be a guy with a shaven head, starting over with a new head of hair. And that's all I could see in that. Everything is... What else? Oh, here it is. Yeah, Disneyland is sparking backlash over the true love's kiss scene because she is asleep and not able to give Prince consent. Remember Snow White? There's that scene where she's in the trance and she's laying there and the prince thinks she's dead and he gives her a kiss and of course she wakes up. Well, you got to get the cancel culture into it now because it's part of the theme park. It's in the theme park in Anaheim, California. And they reopened Friday after shutting down for more than a year in the pandemic. And they overhauled the Snow White ride. So there you go. The prince did an evil thing. He kissed Snow White while he thought she was dead. She was really asleep, but she could not give consent. So now this is a problem. I want you to keep this in mind. There are people who die every day, and they've died, and someone gives them a kiss goodbye. Not everybody, but there are people who give them a kiss goodbye, or they just grab the body, they just die, and give them a big hug. There is no consent involved here. It's done out of love. Not everybody doing what they do is done out of love, but we're talking about a situation where something is done out of love. There are people who wake up to morning sex. That means their mate, man or woman, is waking up their mate, their husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, and initiating sex. Well, that could now be illegal. So we're not going to kiss a loved one goodbye. We're not going to... There goes that thing of dying in someone's arms because they didn't say you could pick them up. Then again, I was reading a couple of years ago, how dumb can this be, that parents should consider asking their children, their babies, their newborns, their babies for consent before changing the diaper. Well, the kid can't answer, obviously, but it gets them into the habit early on from hearing that question of understanding how to say yes and no when it comes time for them. It'll be part of who they are. Well, if you're asking a question that's a yes or no answer, you have to be prepared to hear the word no, which is true. Well, what if the baby, who's now able to get a couple of words out, like the terrible twos, but they're still wearing diapers, and you walk up to this kid and say, "Can I change your diaper?" And the kid says, "No." Now what? That's it. You walked up to a kid who can form one-word responses, and since no is easier to say than yes, you walk up to your kid, say, "Can I change your diaper?" "No." "No." Now what do you do? Do you respect the baby's wish? Or do you say, I got to do what I got to do? Now, why am I making a big thing over that response? Because it is so stupid asking a baby if you could change its diaper. We're talking about, I'm starting this story with Snow White. It's a cartoon. It's a Disney ride. Does it really make a difference? This is how old is Snow White now? Matter of fact, if you want to argue with me about Snow White, if you want to talk about the kiss scene, I'll tell you what, name the 7 dwarfs without Googling them. Then you can tell me about Snow White and the Kiss, because there is no way that this is a problem. I'm talking about it like it is, but it's really not a problem. So we know why he gave her the kiss, but okay, people with nothing to do with their time are worried about this. Matter of fact, if you're that worried about it, about canceling and getting involved and righting the wrongs, figure out a way to help get clean water to Michigan and figure out a way to get some oxygen to India, because there's a real problem out there. Not so much whether one cartoon character kisses another. I give it a break. Anyway, that is what's going on at Disney this week. And yes, that is pretty good. See if you can name the 7 dwarfs without using Google. I have won many a drink and quite a few dollars. I could do that, and I could name the cast of the original movie, The Magnificent Seven. If you can do that, you could win many drinks in many bars. Look at this. We are pretty much out of time here. I actually, wait, did I just get rid of Jade? Or did I? Okay, there she is. Look at this. I'm going to go with one last story before I say goodnight. All right. The CIA's woke recruitment video gets panned. Don Jr. leads ridicule as recruit describes herself as intersectional cisgender millennial diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. Try saying that 3 times fast. Well, that is what one of the recruits in the CIA recruitment video has been widely ridiculed online after she described herself as, that's a lot to say. Anyway, the officer is 36 years old and says she is unapologetically me. Good. I would hope so. CIA. This is how someone's describing themselves with frustration, getting attacks, and this and all that. That's a lot of stress and a highly stressful job. Maybe you want to get to a calmer way of life. Let me read that again. I want to read that again. With let me get that. I gotta get that again. I'm sorry. I gotta say that again. Generalized anxiety disorder. Oh my. Well, I'm not going to say that says it all, but it says a lot to me. So good luck. Size gender. Okay, well, be what you got to be, do what you got to do. I'm more concerned about the generalized anxiety disorder when you're working in the CIA, but okay. And that is my show for this week, because yeehaw, that's a lot we talked about today. Anyway, yeah, really, I know it's a lot, I know. And I'm looking at this thing of Jade. She has a chair sitting behind her with a green screen working. She's working on her many props and many different backgrounds. And I see this chair, which appears to have only 2 legs. So if you want to sit in Jade's chair and take a shot at it, right into Skies Crescent Radio at gmail.com, and just sign the waiver. Says that if you break your tailbone, if you break your ass, you will not hold us liable. But other than that, it's been fun talking to everybody this week. And if I tripped over my own words, so what? Meantime, don't worry about Snow White. Don't worry about Justin Bieber, and worry about people who have guns, insecurity, with generalized anxiety disorders. Because if you work in the canine unit, they should be your canine action dog and not your emotional support dog. That's just how I'm seeing it. But okay. Everybody, have a good night. Have a good week. I will see you all next time.